Hi, my name is Jessica Allerton, Deputy Editor of the Pathologist, and I'm delighted to be joined today by Laura Tafe. Before we begin, could you please give us a little brief introduction to yourself and what you do?
Sure. Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Jess, for taking the time to meet with me today. I'm Laura Tafe. I work as a pathologist at Dartmouth-Hitchcock Medical Center in Lebanon, New Hampshire, and in the US. And I am trained as an anatomic and a molecular pathologist. And currently my role is as the medical director of our Clinical Genomics and Advanced Technologies Laboratory, which does all kinds of molecular testing from infectious disease to germline to solid tumor and heme path. And I also still maintain my buddy, my microscope right next to me, and still keep my fingers in the AP world, particularly love GYN path and thoracic pathology. So thank you for meeting with me today.
Amazing, it's my pleasure, thank you. So, what initially drew you to a career in pathology?
Um, I think there were a lot of threads kind of along the way that ultimately brought me here. I remember very early elementary school learning anatomy and just being delighted by anatomy. And then in undergraduate, I was studying sciences, biology. I really loved a developmental biology course I had. And then my senior year of college, I took a histology course and got to dissect mice and make slides out of other organs. And I really loved that. So that was kind of the first time I really got to see tissue under the microscope and really was attracted to the visual side of things. I kind of have grown up as a visual person. I like arts as well, which we can talk about a little bit later. So I think that the arts and science go well together for me, and particularly the visual aspect. And then after undergrad, I decided to take a little bit of a break. I took 2 years off before going to med school. And I think I got really lucky in that I was able to get a job at a local pathology laboratory, which was in Colorado. And I spent time as an autopsy assistant as well as a gross room assistant. So I really kind of got to see the inner workings of pathology from that perspective and get to know the pathologists and why they love the field themselves. And then I went to med school and nothing was better than pathology. So here I am.
Amazing. Can you share a defining moment or a case that reinforced your commitment to diagnostic medicine?
I'm sure there were many along the way, but I do remember one incident that really stood out to me during this kind of transition period between undergrad and med school when I was working in a path lab. It was really the first autopsy I had the privilege to be a part of, and it was actually a fetopsy. It was a baby who died shortly after birth, and the purpose of the autopsy was to try to explain what had happened. And it turns out that the baby had a developmental issue with their diaphragm, and so they quite literally could not breathe. And unfortunately, that's why they were deceased. They died. But it was incredibly powerful to see that the pathologist was able to explain that and give some rest to the parents as to what happened. And so that was one of the very memorable defining points, I think, during my time there that kind of led me further into my interest of pathology. And from there, just that whole experience of being able to see what pathologists did kind of on the inside view.
Yeah. So following on from that, what's your favorite part about what you do, if you can narrow it down?
um, I think when I think about that question, one of the things I really love about pathology is it's so diverse and really not every day is not the same. And I do like that to a certain extent. I really love the anatomic pathology and I love the molecular pathology, and it brings the two interconnect and speak a lot together for me. And I love to share that with our trainees and this enthusiasm that I have for both, as well as the broader pathology community. I think it's a relatively small global community of pathologists, and it's really a privilege to be a part of that and form connections across, in-person meetings as well as the virtual social media world at this point. It's just kind of keeps me inspired interacting with other people and seeing the next generation coming up is really exciting too.
Amazing. So how do you balance the mentorship with your clinical, academic, and leadership responsibilities? That's a lot of things
I think,
to manage all at
yeah.
once.
I think that's a challenge for anybody who works full time, probably. I think one of the things I try not to overcommit myself or take on too many things that I'm, too many mentoring opportunities at a particular time that I'm responsible for. I also think in the context of mentoring, everybody kind of needs and wants something a little bit different. And so really kind of understanding what the other person hopes to gain from that relationship is important. And, sometimes mentoring can be as small as just a conversation or, a larger project or, throughout a person's career. So kind of understanding that spectrum of what their needs are and their expectations are is really kind of helpful to to make sure I can, contribute in a meaningful way to their conversations and their growth. I also think for me, it's important to kind of be aware of my own mentoring needs. I think, although I am have been in this field for a while now, I think it's important that we still continue to form new relationships and look for mentors, even as more senior pathologists. And I really think there is a large opportunity to learn from our younger folks as well. And so I try to engage with people by being curious and also wanting, learning something from them at the same time that hopefully I can help contribute some of my experiences and knowledge to them.
That's amazing. Like the circle of learning in a way.
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, we're all kind of at different walks of our lives and have something to offer each other. And it goes both ways, I think. So
Absolutely. I love that. So what are some of the biggest challenges facing diagnostic pathologists today, in both community and academic settings?
um, I think probably things that are no surprise to anyone in the field. I think reimbursement and coverage continues to be an issue. I see that particularly in molecular diagnostics area. Everybody's concerned about staffing, both as, kind of the professional faculty level, as well as all of our support staff and technologists, that we are so dependent on their expertise to really make the labs work smoothly, make pathology what it is in terms of our patient care and all that. So those are a couple of big things I think that we're facing. And I think, again, probably we've talked about this with other people too, that the field of pathology needs to do a little bit better at self-promoting and getting ourselves out there and making sure that everybody in the field of medicine, as well as those who are not, have a little bit more awareness about the work that we do and why we're so important for patient care, and really tie that all together. So those are some of our
Definitely.
challenges that are ongoing, but we keep working on.
Yeah, just a few.
Just a few. Yeah,
So
definitely.
amazing. So in a era of automation and AI, how do you think we can protect the expertise of human diagnostic interpretation?
I think that's a really good question, and probably a lot of debate is happening around this. I think one of the things that we, as pathologists, we need to not be afraid of it and really see it as an opportunity and tools that we can really take ownership of and kind of drive the development of for our clinical needs and applications. So I think that we see them as comparable and not as a threat to the work that we do. I think that's the viewpoint that will get us the furthest with all this new information and technology that we have access to, and really use our judgment, our clinical judgment, our depth of experience with laboratory testing and validation, and just see these as new tools that we can incorporate into our day-to-day workflows and really kind of take advantages of the strengths that they have, and also be really aware of the limitations and truly vet them really well.
Yeah, perfect. If you could redesign one part of pathology training or practice from the ground up, what would it be and why?
I can think of several things, but I think one area that has been coming to mind particularly lately is kind of the realm of the things that don't apply necessarily to our diagnostic skills. So several things about like how we do our work. So how do we work better? How do we develop our personal leadership skills? We're not really taught a lot of leadership skills or like laboratory directorship types of skills in our residency and training. So I think that's an area that as a field we can do better and would serve us well, that we are leaders at kind of every stage of our careers, not just when you become the titled role. So I think that would be something that pathology could really focus on, as well as those day-to-day things that we, particularly anatomic pathology, I feel like a lot of times we work a little bit isolated, sometimes in silos, and there's really opportunity to have more conversations about how we do our work, kind of what strategies we've developed for ourselves that other people might benefit from learning from, such as, you know, simple basic things that our residents need to know, like what are reference managers we should be using, how do you take photographs for publication, how do you manage your workload, and what kind of tools do you utilize or have developed that are beneficial for you that possibly someone else could work with as well. So I think I would love to see more conversation and kind of communication about those sorts of things as well during our training.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what kind of innovations or trends are you most excited about in the next decade or so of pathology?
I feel like a decade is looking really far ahead because things start changing so quickly. Like 5 years might be as far as I can see at the moment. And I think, you know, the realm of all the new technologies, of course, there are several highlights that come to mind, such as the digital pathology, the AI tools we're seeing. In molecular diagnostics, there's a lot of great new technologies coming along that we're hoping to see more clinical applications for. A couple of them include long read sequencing, where potentially we can look at the whole genome and the methylation profile of tumors or patient samples and kind of get a much more comprehensive view all out of one assay. For our laboratory as well, we've been doing whole exome and whole transcriptome sequencing for several years now, and we have a wealth of data that we really have the opportunity to try to figure out how we can use all this data that we have to better help our patients, particularly the transcriptome data. We have a lot of gene expression data that would be fantastic to actually utilize in the clinical context. So I'm looking forward to more developments as to how to really make these come into the clinical realm of patient care. Another example is spatial proteomics, where people are really excited about. A lot of work is going on more in the research realm, and excited to see some of that possibly coming into the clinical world as well. And of course, those exciting technologies, again, raise the challenges of how do you get coverage, how do you get reimbursement for these new tests as you're bringing them into the laboratory. And I think along those lines too, to kind of relate to your earlier question, is how to get patients access to this testing too, if it is really important for them to have this testing for, you know, either diagnosis, prognosis, or prediction for therapeutic applications as well. So I think there's a ton going on in the field, and it's really exciting to see things starting to integrate. I think we're also going to see more of the digital, talking to the molecular, and kind of work in the AI machine learning aspect of those tools into that as well. So looking forward to seeing how that all kind of comes into play outside of research, kind of bringing it into the real world clinical applications. It's exciting for me.
Yeah, it's very exciting to think where the future's going to take us.
Yeah, and how about, can I throw it back at you? You've interviewed a lot of people over the years and written a lot about the field of pathology. What are some of the things that you're excited about seeing coming along?
Oh gosh, that's interesting. Nobody's ever thrown it back to me. I guess more in the collaboration sense, it's really incredible to see with technology, with AI being incorporated, digital pathology, to be able to see pathologists and clinical lab specialists like collaborate from different sides of the world and connect with digital slides and be able to collaborate on discussing different diagnoses without being able to physically be able to touch the microscope. And it's just incredible thinking where that could take patient care. So
Yeah.
from an outsider's point of view, that's really exciting to see.
I think we consider you an insider at this point. You've talked to a lot of us for a long time, so
Yeah, I feel like an outside insider.
yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. So to throw it straight back onto you, I know it's a big question, but what do you hope your legacy will be, whether in terms of diagnostics and education or just the profession as a whole?
Um, I think I'm at this stage in my career where I'm starting to think more and more about this particular question. A couple of things that are important to me are being a connector and also being a caring, kind person. So hopefully those things come across. I like building connections. I like seeing how different parts of pathology can be more integrated and speak to each other and inform each other. Um, and in my role in molecular diagnostics world, I would love to be seen as or remembered as a person who's kind of helped move the field forward and also welcomed other people into the field and expand the knowledge of molecular. It's not just molecular pathologists anymore who need to know all this information. It's really everybody touching surgical pathology as well, for instance, who really need to become molecular pathologists much more integrated with that. So, it's an exciting time to be in this place in my career to work to pass that on and develop the knowledge to share more with people and bring more people into the education of particularly molecular diagnostics is what I'm thinking of. But I'm also thinking kind of beyond pathology itself too, and I guess this is a good place for me to bring up another aspect of what's really interesting me right now is is art and medicine. And I have been talking for a while and sharing some of my artwork for a while now, and it's really becoming more and more important for me to perhaps be an example for others as a physician who also values that aspect of themselves and kind of help provide a way for other people to see other ways of doing medicine and to keep other interests alive for them. One thing I've been doing the last few years is I teach our medical students pretty early in their first year of medicine of their med school. And I have a lecture that's only about 6 weeks into med school where they have definitely had enough exposure that they're drinking from the fire hose of medicine. And at that particular point, I kind of take a break after one of my talks and share with them some of my artwork and just remind them that medicine needs them and they need to remember to take care of themselves, take care of each other, and don't forget about the other things that they like in their lives, such as art or cooking or riding their bicycle. Many different things can be creative outlets for us. And it's really important for them to have to keep those things. So hopefully I'm building relationships through sharing that aspect of myself and helping others to feel more comfortable sharing some of their personal passions or idiosyncrasies that define them outside of just the role of being in medicine or being a pathologist in healthcare. So that's another thing I'm kind of focusing more of my attention on as well. Being connected to the community within my hospital too, who is interested in arts and humanities. A lot of hospitals have arts and humanities programs, so finding opportunities to connect with them, as well as my own, kind of personal art that's has nothing to do with medicine whatsoever, but brings me other types of connections too. So I think
Yeah.
that's kind of is important to me to have work on developing that side of myself as well as sharing that with others. So hopefully they will take a piece of that and run with it too.
Absolutely. It's amazing to see how far the pathology art or the path art hashtag has gone
It's true.
crazy. Like, obviously, I'm involved in the pathology captures feature that we do, and it's just so lovely to see the creativity shine through what, people that do such technical work but can still bring such precise and beautiful artwork. It's
Yeah.
very inspiring. It's beautiful.
It is. And I think a lot of pathologists are very creative people, and probably a lot of people in healthcare in general, but they don't always want to share that. And so I think it's really great to see some people who are starting to share a little bit more of that. And it really kind of connects and resonates with each other as a human being on kind of a little bit different level than just medicine alone. So it is wonderful to see more of that coming out.
Yeah, absolutely. We need to collaborate and to share the positivity in all sides, right?
Yeah, true. And yeah, definitely.
Amazing. Well, somehow we've already come to my final question.
Okay.
So do you have any advice for the next generation of pathologists and laboratory professionals?
Oh, probably. I think a couple of things that I tend to say to a lot of people is, be curious, and also that there's room for everybody. Pathology, healthcare, it's not a competition. You kind of find areas that you like and pursue them because you're interested in things, and really kind of follow that thread of interest and creativity throughout your career, and don't really worry about what everybody else is doing because that doesn't serve you well. And just kind of following your own interests really kind of is is kind of one of the best paths, I think, to find a fulfilling life and career. So I definitely say that, as well as the pathology is going to be different in 5 to 10 to 15 years than probably what it is right now for those who are in training. And um, like we spoke about earlier, it's really an opportunity to kind of embrace those changes and not feel threatened by them, and see how the field can evolve and what it can do. And I think it's really important that as pathologists, we take ownership of a lot of those changes, because if we don't, someone else will. And we really want to be at the driver's seat for many of those, in guiding with our unique set of knowledge and medicine and healthcare as to how those all evolve and what the future of our specialty looks like. So,
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Laura. It's been an absolute pleasure.
thank you, Jess. Pleasure's mine. Happy to be here.